Welcome to FAMORRA. Don't forget to subscribe for more shocking family drama and jaw-dropping stories.
He said I'd never move on without him. Last night, I proved him wrong. On live TV. Ethan's last text still sat in my phone like a thorn. "You'll never move on without me." I read it again on the night I packed my life into 3 boxes. The studio apartment I found had a leaky window and a heater that coughed, but it was mine. I set the boxes down and lay on the floor staring at the ceiling crack that looked like a river. Ethan had loved control the way some people love dessert, daily and without apology. He called my reporting job glorified weather girl work, even though I covered city council meetings and school funding. When I pitched bigger stories, he smirked. "Dream smaller," he would say, like it was helpful. I kept 1 dress, 2 pairs of jeans, a chipped mug, and my phone with that text. I didn't keep it to suffer. I kept it so I could look at it and say, "Watch me." 2 months later, my producer Mara sent an email, "National Talent Show, guest host auditions." My hand shook over the trackpad. I could audition and fail in public, or I could stay small and safe where Ethan said I belonged. I pulled up my camera and recorded a 1-minute reel in my kitchen. I was barefoot. I talked about the way people glow when they're seen. I talked about my love for small moments. I didn't try to be slick. I tried to be honest. I hit send and then pressed my palms to the counter. If I fail, I told the fridge, I want to fail loud. When the callback email arrived, I read it 3 times. Then I sat on my bed and let myself cry from relief. Ethan's sentence slid through my head and lost a little of its power. Live TV felt like standing on a moving floor. Everything hummed, lights, cables, people. Mara met me at the door with a headset and a stare. "Smile, but don't fake it," she said. "The camera knows the difference." I nodded. "Yes, ma'am," she cracked a smile. "Don't call me ma'am. Just do your job." In the control room, I watched my practice reel. My smile looked stiff like it had homework. "Again," Mara said. "We did it again. And again." She threw out my jokes and kept my questions. "Trust your eyes," she said. "See the person, not the moment." That's when I met Theo. He was a camera operator with quiet hands and a memory for coffee orders. He taped a piece of gaffer's tape to a wobbly mark and said, "Step here. You'll like how it frames your eyes." I stepped there. He was right. He usually was. At lunch, he asked what I wanted to make after hosting. I told him about my documentary idea, school kids riding buses before dawn, a city's broken roots, the way a map can show who matters. He didn't laugh. He said, "That's a film." That night, rain hit my window like it was trying to get in. My phone buzzed. "Ethan, proud of you, drinks?" I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. I put the phone face down, then picked it up again. "Me, no thanks." He responded fast. Still scared to be seen without me? I muted the thread, crawled under my blanket, and whispered into the dark, "I'm scared and I'm going anyway." The heater coughed. I fell asleep with my jaw clenched and my heart loud. In the morning, Mara handed me a stack of cue cards. "You're live in 3 days," she said. "Be the you that's in the kitchen, not the one that tries to please me." I laughed. "The kitchen me is barefoot." "Fine," she said. "Be barefoot in your head." The show opened with fireworks and nerves you could taste. My first night, I interviewed a teenage drummer who had fixed his broken snare with duct tape 5 minutes before going on stage. He cried when I asked about his dad. I didn't fill the silence. I let him breathe. The internet clipped our moment. People wrote, "She listens." My following grew. Strangers sent me messages like prayers. I felt seen. I saved them in a folder called Reasons. Theo and I started walking to the train together after tapings. He carried the heavy tripod like it was nothing and laughed at the way I cursed the vending machine when it ate my dollars. One night he said, "You're the bravest person I know." "I'm terrified," I said. He shrugged. "Brave is what you do while you're terrified." We started sharing the small things, bad coffee, good playlists, long jokes that only made sense after midnight. When he took my hand in the hallway after a show, it felt like something I'd been reaching for without knowing it. Gossip pages showed Ethan at expensive restaurants with new dates and leased cars. My stomach didn't flip anymore. Sometimes I forgot to be mad and then felt weirdly guilty for that, like I was cheating on my old pain. Mara pulled me into her office at the start of the season's last month. "We're elevating your role for the finale," she said. "You'll plan the surprise on-air proposal for the winning contestant. Make America cry." I took the file and tried to keep my voice even. I can do that. On the train home, Theo sat beside me and watched my face. You look like you're planning something else, he said. I was. 2 weeks later, I bought a ring. A simple oval in a thin gold band that caught light like morning. $90,000. It was more than I had ever spent on anything that wasn't rent or fear. I didn't tell anyone. I put the ring box in my sock drawer because it felt funny to put the future next to socks. When Theo walked me to my door after a long day, he said, I have to tell you something. Me first, I said. Panic and joy mixing. He raised his eyebrows. I chickened out. You go, he cleared his throat. I've been in love with you since the night you corrected my lower third graphic and said thank you like I saved the world. I laughed and cried at the same time. I'm in love with you too. We stood there in the hallway, grinning like fools while someone down the hall shouted at a football game. Later, lying on my couch with our feet on the same ottoman, I decided I would ask Mara for 30 seconds at the end of the finale. Just 30 seconds to build the life Ethan said I couldn't. Finale night smelled like hairspray, coffee, and adrenaline. I wore a black suit that fit like an answer. Theo adjusted his lens and touched my elbow like it was lucky. Mara pulled me into a corner before we went live. I read your email, she said. I swallowed. And ratings are king, she said. If we're strong and if you mean it, not for a stunt, then take 30 seconds. Not one more. I mean it, I said. I've never meant anything more. She studied my face, then nodded. Don't waste it, the show roared. Confetti cannons fired. The winner's fiancé stepped out, shaking, and the crowd lost its mind when she said yes. I was crying and laughing with everyone else when I saw him. Ethan, front row center aisle. He had gotten a seat from a mutual friend who loved drama. His eyes met mine. The old smirk appeared, then faltered. Mara's voice hit my ear through the IFB. 30, 29, 20. I stepped into the light and the floor felt steady. Before we go, I said, I have one more story. The camera cut to me, then to Theo. His face went through 3 expressions: shock, fear, then a smile that made my ribs ache. I spoke to the room and to all the rooms I had ever been small inside. I once believed someone who said I would never move on without him. I believed it until I didn't. Moving on isn't forgetting. It's choosing a future louder than your past. The crowd got quiet. Millions of homes held their breath with us. I walked toward Theo. My hand found the ring box in my pocket like it had always lived there. Theo, I said, and my voice stayed whole, will you build every messy, ordinary, beautiful day with me? His answer was a whisper, but it carried like music. Always. He pulled me in before I could kneel. Confetti burst again. The crowd turned into weather, wind and thunder. Somewhere in that storm, Ethan's face crumpled. His mouth moved around a word I couldn't hear. Security, gentle, professional, guided him toward the aisle. He shook them off, then folded into a seat like a tent collapsing. 3, 2, 1. Mara counted down. We're out. The red light on the camera went dark. Theo kissed my forehead, then my mouth, and I felt the world go quiet inside, even as the room stayed loud. I hadn't proved him wrong. I had proved myself right. The internet did what it does. Memes, think pieces, strangers fighting in comment sections. I read one message and then stopped. My ex said I'd never move on. Watching you last night helped me breathe. I sent a heart and a thank you. That felt like the right size of fame. Ethan texted mid-morning. You humiliated me on national TV, you'll regret it. The old me would have written a novel back. The me with the ring on her finger and the microphone finally set down typed, I didn't do anything to you. I did something for me. I hope you heal in a way that doesn't require control. He replied with 3 dots that never became words. I archived the conversation. Then I opened the old screenshot, the one of his last sentence. You'll never move on without me. My thumb hovered. My heart was calm. I hit delete. The phone asked, Are you sure? I smiled. Yes. Mara walked into the studio with 2 coffees and no smile. You broke format, she said. I know. She handed me a cup. Worth it, she said and finally grinned. Also, congratulations. Don't you dare be late to work tomorrow. Theo and I sat on the empty stage after everyone left. Confetti stuck to our shoes. He took the ring between his fingers and watched it throw small suns onto the floor. Do you feel free? He asked. I thought of the studio apartment with the coughing heater, of the crack in the ceiling that looked like a river, of the text that used to sit in my phone like a locked door. I thought of Mara's "Don't fake it," of the teenage drummer and his duct-taped snare, of the way my chest had finally unclenched when I said "always" out loud and meant it. "Yes," I said. Finally. The next morning, I bought flowers from the vendor who opens at dawn. I called my mom and told her everything. She cried, told me to eat, then asked if Theo was good with tools, which made me laugh until I hiccuped. On the train, 2 teenage girls whispered and waved shyly. "We loved your speech," one said. "I dumped my toxic ex at 8:01, the other added like a victory timestamp. At the office, someone had taped the front page of a tabloid to my door with a terrible headline and an amazing photo. I rolled my eyes and put it in the drawer with my first press badge. Souvenirs from lives I was done living. Before the afternoon meeting, I took a walk through the empty studio. I touched the mark on the floor where Theo told me to stand because the light loved me there. I stood on it and closed my eyes. The silence felt good. Not empty, held. This is what moving on felt like, I realized. Not fireworks. Not enemies crushed. Just breakfast and work and a hand I trusted. Just choosing again and again to build the life I wanted, even when a voice from the past tried to narrate it for me. "Places," Mara called from the hall. "Coming," I answered. I slipped the ring back on, took one breath, then another, and stepped into the light that was mine. If the man who once said you'd never move on sat crying in your audience, would you offer him forgiveness or silence?
Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more family drama stories. See you in the next video.